Hello, everybody, and welcome to Packaging Your Purpose 7 Steps, a 7 step system for increasing your impact and your income. I'm Tiana Blyden, and I am reaching out to you from the Proverbs 31 Boss Academy. This is the fifth of the 7 modules that you will be getting. We're coming to the close of it, but today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. Module 5 is all about storytelling. So the quote for today is from yours truly, from me. Your story is the biggest differentiator and motivator in your business. So, I want to tell you that you guys have probably learned about storytelling, but I want to tell you a little bit more about story selling on today. And so, story selling is one of the most important ways to connect with your audience. Is the way that you tell them what your why is, why you want to help them, how you can help them, what difference you can make in their lives, and how what you are doing going to help them with has helped you or helped others. So it's very important to sell your story because this is the differentiator between people who are making peanuts to people who are making thousands in their businesses. I'll tell you one thing that a lot of the people that you connect with, a lot of the people that you support and are a loyal customer to you, you are loyal to them because you know their story, because you know the story behind that great product or service. So the product being great or the service being great is a plus, but the story behind it is a lot more compelling and it makes you loyal to whatever that brand is. Our objectives for today are going to be to identify what your story is, identify what your story is, also to craft your story, to show you exactly how you're going to craft your story so that you can sell to your audience. And then we're going to go into a little more detail about how vulnerability increases value. So, on the left, you see, does your story sell? Before we go into this module, I want you to think about and ask yourself this question. Is your story already selling for you? Chances are that if you are not making the money that you want to make, if you are not getting the results that you want to get thus far, the chances are that you are not selling your story. You are not telling people why you're doing what you're doing. You are not getting into detail about your story. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more next. So, what's your story? I want to ask you that. I want you before we get into how to identify what your story is, I want you to pay attention to this woman on the right side of the screen. And I want you to see that person as your customer. This is your customer who is far back in the picture. Her body is far back. She is not open and engaged, and her hand is up, and she's saying, what's your story? I want you to think of this as your customer saying, before we go any further, before I put my hand in my wallet, before I recommend you to people, before I give referrals, before I get on the phone for a free call with you, before I set up a meeting with you, I want to know what your story is. You're not going any further until you tell me what your story is. And I want you to think of your customers in that way. The way that you get them to open up, the way that you get closer to them is to tell them what your story is and why you do what you do. So that leads me to your why. What is your why? Why are you selling this product or service? Why are you trying to help the people that you're trying to help? What is the significance of it? Why are you doing this? Why do you feel like God gave you the innate abilities to do it? Why? Why did he choose you? I want you to tell people that when you're writing your bio, when you're writing your about page on your website, because all of these things are opportunities to explain your why and to sell your story. When you're doing your bio for social media, add some information on there as much as you can about why you are doing what you're doing. The next thing I want you to include in your story is experience. And a lot of people get tripped up here because most of the time when people think of their experience, they think of how long they had the LLC. If it's been 5 months since they had the business, 5 minutes, 5 years, but they've been doing this ever since elementary school. If they've been doing this ever since they were 10 years old. If they've been doing this ever since they were 13 years old. But the experience, I want to tell you today that the experience is not limited to your your LLC. It's not limited to the time that you started the business or the time that you started to exchange money for your services, but it's limited to the amount of time that you've actually been doing this. How long have you been helping people in the area that your business helps them prior to the LLC even starting? Then, for your story, when you sell your story, you also want to include the benefits. What are the benefits in taking your expertise? What are the benefits of working closely with you? What are the benefits of allowing you to partner with them in success? What are the benefits? I want you to include that in your story, because people always look at people's stories or look at people that they want to invest in and think, what is in it for me? Tell them what that is in your bio, in your about page, as much as you can. Sell them on what the benefits are of working with you. And last but not least, the cost. Not the cost of your product or service, but the cost of not partnering with you. What are they going to give up if they don't take advantage of this opportunity? What are the pain points that they're going to continue to struggle with if they don't connect with you? I want you to craft all of these elements into your story. Make it as short as possible if you can, because you don't want it to be everything about you. But remember, you're telling people your why, but you're making it about them. You're making it about them and how you can help them, because you have this significant why, this experience with you're telling them the benefits that they're going to experience from working with you and the cost of not doing it. So telling your story in a way that connects directly to who you want to target, who you want to work with, is very, very important. Now, we're going to talk about crafting your story, and this is the most significant part of the module on today. You're going to take a lot of notes here. This is going to be where you get the meat and potatoes for your actual assignment after this. So I want you guys to really, really pay attention here and really be ready to put in the work. So I want you to look at this caption on the side. It's time to stop selling what you do and start selling why you do it. That's where the selling comes in, guys. I want you to remember that your story is so important, whether no matter where you're speaking it, whether you're giving an elevated speech at a networking event, or whether you are actually in front of a crowd and you have a table in the back of the room. You are selling your story no matter what environment you're in. And so you really want to sell why you do it. Not be all having your chest poked out about what kind of business you have. And you should be proud of that. But why you do it is the most important element, because that is what connects with the people. So I want to talk to you about deciding what to say. How do you decide what to say? You decide what to say by identifying what your goal is as it relates to your story. What is your end goal? What are you trying to do? And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, because most people, when they decide what to say, they decide it based on the story that they just want to tell. They don't craft it based on the end goal in mind. They're not very strategic about it. And a lot of times, these are the people that are not strategic are the ones that are not called back to speak again. They are the ones that are not recommended for another speaking engagement. They are the ones that bore the crowd. They are the ones that, even if they have a fantastic story, if they are not strategic in what it is that they're saying, they are not going to be able to sell their story and their product. So let's talk about how you identify your goal. So you have three options. I want you to think about, whenever you are writing a speech, whenever you're thinking about something that you're going to present before one or more people about your business, you have to identify which one of these options, what are you trying to accomplish? What is your goal? So the first goal option is to confirm. When you are trying to confirm, if your goal is to confirm what it is that you're saying, you're going to assure that I'm sorry. Look, I'm getting all tripped up. I'm sorry. You are going to basically assume the way that your audience is thinking about the issue, that thing, or the event. So you're basically going to assure them. You're going to tell them that what you're thinking about this particular situation, what you're thinking about this particular product or service, what you think about this particular event, this is something that is accurate. So that's option A, to confirm what it is that your audience thinks or feels about a particular subject. Option B is change. This is, in this area, you're going to upset your listeners a little bit, with balance though. You're going to upset them a little bit, and you're going to cause them to question their attitude, their information, or their actions in a certain area. So this is that middle ground area where you're not looking to just affirm them and say, "Hey, this is what you're thinking is accurate, and I want to tell you why you should be thinking like that." You're looking to change what it is that they think. So you're going to challenge what they think they know about the topic a little bit. And the last but not least, the other goal that you should have is to challenge. So when you're challenging them wholeheartedly, you're seeking to change your audience. You're going to provoke them either from calm to anger or from anger to calm. You want to really disrupt some of their emotions in certain areas. So you're going to challenge them just like changing, but you're going to challenge them in a way where you're going to make them upset that they didn't know, or upset, or make them calm somewhere where they were irate. You're changing the way they think about this entire idea. So just to reiterate that, the three different goals when you're writing any speech, whether you're talking to one person or 10,000 people, is to number one, confirm, to number two, change, or number three, to challenge. And so the change part is with a little bit of balance, but the challenge is when it's a little bit more disruptive, it is a little bit more abrupt. And so I want you to think about that no matter if you're giving a sales presentation, or if you're talking to going to a women's networking event or a men's networking event, wherever you're going to connect with people, you want to make sure that you identify whether or not your goal is to confirm, to change, or to challenge what it is that they know. So let's talk about your opening strategy. Once you know what your goal is, your opening strategy is something that is very, very important. Um, Keep in mind that I'm not just talking about throwing together a speech. Your opening strategy should be pretty much based on something that you already know that you're good at. So if you know that you're a good storyteller, you may want to lean more towards the storytelling strategies. If you know that you are a person that's good at explaining things and you give great examples with clarity, you may want to go with the descriptive types of openings. But nevertheless, I want you to keep in mind what your strengths are, and then I want you to listen to these different strategies so you can identify which one is a great opening strategy for you, or ones, depending on what your audience is, because there are quite a few. So the first opening strategy is um, giving them a summary of what follows. This is when you open up your speech and you say, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm here to do, and this is what you can expect from this presentation." The second opening strategy is to explain your motivation for communicating if they don't know it. So if your audience does not know why you're doing what you're doing, this is a great place, a great segmentation to explain your why this subject is near and dear to your heart. The third strategy, as far as opening your speech or opening your story selling strategy, is to comment on your relationship or experience with the subject matter. So, really kind of delve into an area of vulnerability for yourself. Let them know why this is so important to you, but then talk about your own personal experience as it relates to the subject matter. The fourth way is to state your purpose or desired outcome for the remarks. So, this is where you tell them, "This is what I'm going to talk to you about. And also, this is what I'm hoping to do, that after this is the desired outcome I hope for you to have after I talk to you about this. So, this is what I hope that you'll walk away with or do." The fifth opening strategy is to describe what's new, interesting, or beneficial about what you're communicating. So, telling them the why, not your why, but the why they need to know this information, is more along the lines of this strategy. The sixth opening strategy is to describe background context. So, a lot of times when we're reading scriptures, when we're learning of something that happened, it's very important to understand your present position to know of the past of the event. So, depending on what you're selling, who you're talking to, and what your strengths are, you may want to describe the background context related to what it is that you're going to be talking about as you sell your story. Um, the seventh opening strategy is to give an example of what you're speaking about. So if it's something definitely that may be difficult for people to connect with or for them to understand, it will be a great idea to give them an example of what you're speaking about, why you're speaking about it, and so that they can kind of relate apples to apples instead of it being all over the place and you kind of lose them if it's something that's difficult to understand. The eighth strategy is to play off of an event or idea, either art, agreeing or disagreeing. So if it's something that's a current event that's happening, if it's something that's currently in the news, if it's something that you are sure that everyone in the room knows about, it probably would be a good idea to play off of that event and share what your stance is and then lead into your presentation if it is applicable, if it's something that goes together and what makes sense for you to do. The ninth strategy is to begin with a general but related subject to connect the audience. So this is one where you kind of just have small talk almost, but you kind of get the audience to open up with something that's kind of related, and then you go in for what it is your presentation is about. The 10th strategy is to talk about the audience itself. Talk about some of the challenges, the situations, the things that are attractive to them, their attitudes, their feelings or beliefs. So the more you know about your audience, the better you will be able to connect with them. So, the more you know about them, this strategy may be good for you because if you're speaking to a group of women, or if you're speaking to a group of entrepreneurs, or you're speaking to a group of moms, you probably know the more you know about them, that will probably be a good strategy because you may know what they believe, you may know what their challenges are, you may know what wakes them up in the middle of the night. So that will be a good strategy for a group that you know a lot about. The 11th strategy is to begin with vision. So you cause the audience to think and you take them on sort of a mental ride or a visual ride so they can see what it is that you see. So you need to kind of paint the picture for them in a way. And so this is really important because you have to know who it is that you're speaking to. If you're speaking to audio visual learners and you're opening with a vision, you're probably going to lose them. So depending on what their learning style is, it's very important that you kind of pair what your opening statement is up to that audience. That's if you know what their learning style. So if you're at a technology convention, you'll kind of know what the learning style is in the room. So, and then some ways you won't. So you want to make sure you have something that kind of meets each and every learning style. I know I'm going a little bit too deep into this for you, but that's something you want to look into. Um, you also want to play off the 12th strategy is to play off of the title of the program or conference. A lot of speakers do this. A lot of speakers play off of the name of the conference, the goal of the conference, the strategy behind the conference, and so playing off of that may be good. It may work in your favor. Just keep in mind that this is a very common opening strategy. So not doing this will make you stand out from the crowd as well. The 13th strategy is to talk about the organization. Talk about the organization's goals. Talk about the organization's challenges. Talk about how you are the solution. So that is a strategy that you can do there, especially for a sales meeting or somebody that you're connecting with. It's great to start off with how much you know about them, but just make sure your information is accurate. And the 14th strategy is to play off of a date, day, month, or season. So again, just making it really relevant for what is going on right now in that particular business and what they're facing and what changes they're trying to make, and just going off of what they're doing in their season. Now, I'm just going to give you an example because this may be a little challenging. Playing off of a date, day, month, or season could be the beginning of the fiscal year. If it's like a rally to pump their organization up so they can go for a new strategy and they're looking at some of the changes that they need to make from last year and they're getting off to a new start, that's a season that you can play off of. This is a new start. It's time to get ready. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. It's time to make some changes. You can really do that as it relates to the business. So now that we're done with opening strategy, I want to talk to you about the body. of your story. And unfortunately, I can't really guide you that much on that because the body of your story is going to be dependent upon what it is that you want to share. What it is after you lead into it, you really want to include your why. You really want to include the story behind it. You want to include three main points just to keep it simple and concise to make sure you're on track. Make sure those things are in chronological order and just kind of lead yourself to the end. We're going to go over ending strategies next because there are five major ending strategies after you do a compelling opening, which is going to determine whether they listen to you or not, whether they invite you back or not, and you write the body of your story. Then the next thing you have to do is select the ending strategy. So, one ending strategy or the first ending strategy is the net. This is where you sum up what your message means for your listeners, what you want them to take away, why you crafted this specifically for them. The second one is action and commitment. This is where you explain the action you hope your listeners will take as a result of hearing or absorbing your message. So this is where you tell them, I'm hoping that after you listen to what I had to say about this, I'm hoping that you will do this. I hope it inspires you to do that. That is the area in which you do that. The third ending strategy is the outcome. You explain what is likely to happen or what you hope will happen. So, what you hope will happen in their business, kind of like forecasting, not what you hope for them to do with the information, but what you are hoping to happen after they do it, what outcome they can get, or you're hoping for them to get after they use the information that you've given them to use. The fourth one is to give them confirmation, to confirm your purpose, to confirm what it is that you came to give them in this message, and to let them know that I came here today to give you this. This is what I know that you needed, and you're moving in the right direction. Just kind of confirm what it is that they already know. You gave them more information about it, and now you're confirming your purpose for coming. And then finally, to reaffirm your audience. This is the area in which you close with qualities, talents, attributes of the audience or the organization. So you basically tell them that this is American Express. You guys are known for this. You guys are known for that. You guys have um, been known for jumping over hurdles, and you guys have been known for doing this in this industry, pulling out things that you know about them, but just kind of like reaffirming them and giving them a sense of purpose as it relates to what they're doing. And last but not least, which is one of the most important things, after you identified what you want to say, your goal, your opening strategy, you write the body and you do your ending strategy. What is going to be really important is that you not only look at that speech one time, but you go back a few more times, that you practice it, and that you edit it for clarity. You want to make sure that what you're saying is clear. You don't leave anything objective there, any slang, anything that is not related to who you are as a person and what you're trying to get to come across to your listeners. So you want to make sure that you edit, re-edit, and edit again as it relates to your speech and crafting your story. And last but not least, we're going to go over vulnerability, how it increases your credibility. And this is a couple that people talk about a lot right now. They're actually one of the top 10 top richest couples, and so they have their challenges. They write about it. They share about it. I'm sure they are strategic in what it is that they share, but they share ups and downs in their relationships. They let you into their world strategically, and this is Beyonce and Jay Z. So before they got together, they were worth 50% of what they're worth now, less than 50% of what they're worth now. In 2007, actually they got married in 2007, and now, well, 2008 actually. 10 years from that time, these guys are at 350 million for Beyonce, 810 million for Jay Z, and they're a 1.16 billion dollar couple and counting. And I want to share with you one of the reasons why they have been able to achieve this level of success is not just because of the business deals that they're making, but they are strategic about how they share their story, especially Beyonce. Like, Beyonce is talented, Beyonce can sing, and Beyonce can write, and Beyonce is amazing, and so is Jay-Z. But together, one of the things that they have learned is to increase their vulnerability. They've learned to increase their vulnerability. They know that sharing what's going on inside of their marriage boosts ticket sales. They understand that. They know that people are nosy and they want to know what's going on inside of their relationship just a little. So that way people can buy into it. Now, when they were dating and they were kind of secretive about it, nobody, I mean, people were paying them some mind, but their net worth wasn't 1.16 billion. So let's think about that here. I want you to think about it like this. If these multimillionaires understand, or billionaire, this billionaire couple, if they understand that they have to let people inside of their life, how much more do you need to share? How much more vulnerable do you need to become? Because again, they're worth over $1 billion. And before they started sharing their story and they were being real secretive, they weren't worth nearly this much. Why do you think that is? That's because they're vulnerable. Because they're very strategic about what they share, which increases their credibility. I want you to think about that as you're crafting your story. So here's your on your mark, get set, boss up assignment. I want you to create your signature talk or presentation using the information in this module. I'm sure you're going to have to go back and listen to it. I know you are, as a matter of fact. If you are a private client, we will be happy to review what it is that you come up with and provide you with some additional feedback and pointers. Send your speech. That should be your Send your speech to the client email address. If you're not a private client, I know that this information is going to get you off to the right start. One of the things that we specialize in is helping you to sell your story. So, on your mark, get set, boss up. I want you guys to get this done. Have an amazing day.